In a previous video, I talked about creating anchors and making sure that they're pure and making sure that we get that client to get the best feeling that they could have, and then we can set off that wonderful anchor that's there, maybe a kinesthetic anchor or visual or auditory. What about the people who come and say, yeah, but I just can't stop thinking about something really negative. I can't get it out of my mind. Well, there's a lovely technique called collapsing anchors. And again, the therapist needs to be very sure about how to do that, how to collapse an anchor, and then create another anchor with the client that overtakes anything that's not very good in their mind. So the way to do that is to discuss that negative anchor that they've got. And I found a lot of people, it's either, it's visual and auditory that creates the feelings for sure, but sometimes it's an auditory anchor that somebody said something really horrible to them and they can't get that voice out of their mind. So maybe when they go to do something else, that voice is there. And here's an example that a young chap had found a really nice girlfriend and they wanted to have a nice life together. But unfortunately, he could just remember a previous woman that he'd went out with, and he called it a one-night stand, who'd been particularly scathing of him. And it was not very nice. You can imagine what she probably said to him. And he couldn't get this woman's voice out of his mind. So it was affecting his relationship, and particularly his sexual relationship, with this new lady who was really lovely and understanding. But I don't probably have to spell it out for you what was going wrong. He was a 24-year-old and thinking of even perhaps taking up Viagra or something like that to enhance his performance, when I knew, and he probably knew too, that it was all psychological. Of course, he'd spoken to a doctor and there was nothing medically wrong with him, so it was a psychological. So what we started to do, so I asked him if I was able to touch both of his hands, and he agreed that was okay. And we set up a very positive anchor, another confident anchor. It was nothing to do with a relationship with a woman. It was just something else that he felt particularly confident with. And I pressed, when he got that anchor really strong, I pressed one side of his hand just in between his knuckle. And then I broke the state, and it's very important to break a state with a client. And it might be just to ask them to look out of the window. My usual thing is, what's the time? My watch seems to have stopped. Anything that diverts their mind and distracts their mind from what they've been thinking and visualizing or hearing before. And so then I created the negative anchor. So unfortunately he felt very uncomfortable with it. So, and that was on another hand in between a knuckle, and he could hear that woman's voice very loud and clear, and all the scathing, horrible things that she'd said to him. And then once again, we broke the state again. So the next time that we'd broken the state, I could then press down on both of those knuckles, on both of his hands, and asked him then to notice what was happening. It's very important that we use that kind of language. We're noticing what is happening, and usually 98% of the time the client will say, well, that voice is beginning to diminish or fade away, and it's quite weird that I can't get the voice. It's really important to hold down those two anchors until the voice had completely disappeared. I mean, we could turn that voice into a Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, or some kind of stupid voice where the client starts laughing. But in that case, I wanted him to let that voice diminish till it wasn't even there at all. And when he said, yeah, it's just gone completely, and all I'm remembering is that very confident time that I had in the past, then I could release that negative anchor, keep the positive anchor held down, and start to tell him how good things would be for him now and in the future, and how he'd find it so easy to establish a really good relationship, even better than ever before, with his new partner. And the outcome of that was just the word yes later on in the next session.